With your permission, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Honorable Minister to do the presentation of the Food and Agriculture Country Compact. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President and the delegates. We'll start with a very small video of 5-6 minutes, and then we'll go on with the main presentation.
Tanzania, a country with a current food self-sufficiency level of over 120%. This is a result of improved use of technologies that has brought about increased productivity. The nation's current priority is to become a food hub for Africa, improving its current utilization of fertilizers and allied technologies from the current 20% to more than 50%. This can only be achieved by ensuring that these technologies are available, accessible, and affordable to the majority of the country's farmers, currently referred to as smallholders. The country aims to not only transform how they are labeled, but also convert them into profitable small rural enterprises. To attain these goals, the government of Tanzania, under the leadership of Her Excellency Madam President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, has embarked on an innovative digital process to avail fertilizer subsidies to its farmers in order to curb the effects of rising prices due to current world crises such as the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The Tanzanian government has allocated 150 billion Tanzanian shillings, equivalent to around $64.2 million in order to enable farmers access fertilizer at affordable prices in order to increase productivity in agriculture, improve food security in the country, and increase availability of raw materials for local industries. The system that is used to implement the fertilizer subsidy program in the 2022-2023 financial year is electronic, so as to increase efficiency, reduce time, and management costs. The Tanzanian government's objective is to increase fertilizer utilization from the current 19 kilograms per hectare to 50 kilograms per hectare through different programs, including investment in subsidy programs, seed subsidies, extension services, and soil health.
Mbolea ruzuku imeninufaisha sana kulinganisha na pale zamani ambapo mbolea ruzuku haikuwepo. Mwaka huu nimeweza kuongeza kutoka kwenye ekari 1.5 ambayo ilikuwa nimezoea kulima mpaka kufika kwenye ekari zaidi ya 6.
Kama zamani nilikuwa nalima hekari 5, lakini kufikia mwaka huu bei ya mahindi iliyopo na mbolea ruzuku jinsi ilivyofika, nimenufaika sana na nikapata na moyo wa kutaka kuongeza tena walau heka 5 zingine za juu kutokana na ruzuku hii ya mbolea tuliyoifikia.
Miaka ya nyuma tulikuwa tunanunua mbolea kwa bei kali. Sio tu kwa bei kali tu, lakini hata upatikanaji ulikuwa ni mgumu. Lakini baada ya kujiandikisha kwenye vocha, nimepata namba yangu ya vocha na nimeweza kupata karibu mbolea yangu yote. Na ndio maana nimeweza kulima ekari 50.
The Tanzanian government's ultimate objective is to feed Africa and the world under PPP arrangements. Over the past 10 years, Tanzania has become a champion in leveraging public-private partnership to transform the agricultural sector. One of the best approaches is the Southern Growth Corridor of Tanzania, SAGCOT. To date, $1.04 billion has been injected by the private sector in agriculture, managed the farming of 284,098 hectares of land under improved technologies, impacted over 780,437 smallholder farmers who work directly in private company partners' supply chains, creating 2,015 jobs. While recognizing the power of public-private partnership, Tanzania is going to upscale the approach under the Southern Growth Corridor of Tanzania to establish other Tanzania agriculture growth corridors in 7 agroecological zones. The establishment of growth corridors will go hand in hand with the integration of the Building a Better Tomorrow Youth and Women Initiative, or BBT. Under BBT, the government has identified and cleared land for farming to the tune of 162,492 acres, under which nuclear farms up to 10,000 acres are subleased for 66 years to large investors. In turn, they are expected to be off-takers and technology providers to youth and women who are subleased up to 10 acres each for specific value chains. In this way, 4 basic constraints, namely finance, land, markets, and working capital for youth and women to venture into agribusiness, will be solved. To make the world safe, fight hunger and food shortages, let's join hands with Tanzania. We are ready to reform. The journey has already started under our mother, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Agenda 1030. Agriculture is business.
Thank you, Madam President and delegates. Just a brief, as you have seen, our subsidy program is 100% private sector-led system. From the development of the platform to the distribution system up to the final selling point is 100. There is nowhere the government is doing anything except coordination, organizing, and paying the subsidy difference, the value whereby we have to, and it is led by the private sector. Our presentation will, at the end of the day, will focus on some few areas whereby we think that we need both private and public and the support of the international community on our 4 main value chain. As it has been said, the sector is growing at an average of 4%. The sector has employed over 61% in of the working force. It contributes 65% of the entire inputs for the industrial products, but we are 100% self-sufficient on the main staple foods. When you come to our country, the first word you'll hear, ugali, mchele, means maize and rice. These are if you don't have these two, then you're in trouble. But when last year our president announced what we call Agenda 1030, we have been given a target to attain a growth rate of 10% by 2030. And in that, I would like to use this opportunity to thank our president for her commitment on the agricultural sector. The first year, the budget of the Ministry of Agriculture was increased by 300%, from $127 million to $414 million. This was and the main areas of the investment was seed multiplication, research and development, irrigation, post-harvest loss. These were the entire government money is going. But with that, the growth rate, there is no growth without putting effort on youth. When the government launched the Agenda 1030, the bigger population of our country is youth. If you take the entire people below 40 years, it's almost over 60% of the population are youth. But, and you can see the pyramid, how it looks like. So the commitment of the government is to create 3 million jobs, 3 million youth to be absorbed by the agricultural sector by 2030. That's a target. And these are the people we expect them to go on the farming, on the farm field, on the service delivery, on the value addition, the entire value chain to attract. So the government came up with a Building a Better program, whereby we analyze, as Her Excellency stipulated today earlier, the 4 main challenges of youth to go into agricultural sector. 1 is the access to land. 2, access to capital, financing. They can graduate from the university, but banks cannot agree to finance whatever the idea they have. They are not bankable. But also the technology. In our hometown, or where we are coming from, if you do any mistake, and I think this is an African culture, I don't know the other part of Africa, we are at primary school or secondary school, one of the punishment is to be taken to the farm fields. Yeah. Or if you fail, when you go back home, they will always tell you will end up to be a farmer. So every graduate from the university is not ready to go to the agricultural sector because of the historical facts and negative connotation. So the government decided that we have to change the technology in agro sector. But the final aspect is the market. So in this Building a Better Tomorrow program, it is 100% youth and women program. And the government has decided to put funds whereby they will be providing, the government will provide soft loans, the government will provide grants. We have an umbrella called AGITIF, Agricultural Inputs Trust, whereby the government has put that money. But another aspect is Her Excellency she has done a wonderful job on the financial institutions. Loans on the agro sector, the cost of funds was an average of 20, 25, up to 30%. You cannot make money. So there was a reforms in terms of policies, the central bank, the commercial bank, whereby whoever gets a loan on the commercial banks, the interest rate will be 9%. So another aspect, the government acquires land. The government does all the necessary baseline study of the land, soil analysis and everything, and determine what type of technology, as you have seen on the video. And the government will allocate the land to youth, an average of 10 acres every youth. And every youth or woman will be given a title deed to own that land. And the government will put all the necessary technology, whether it is a drip technology, and we are hoping this year we will launch the first, depending on the timetable of the president, the first block farm of a youth in Dodoma. We have already started the phase 1, and also that goes hand to hand with a training on the enterprise part of agriculture. For the last 10 days since we launched the application for the training, as the President mentioned today, 7,000 applications we received for 10 days. Youth who wants to go to that Center of Excellency, and this is still open. And 1,500 youth have applied for the soft loans and the grant. Those are already in the farm fields. So this is going on. So that's a part of the BBT as a program, and we believe that this will be the game changer of the agricultural sector, because on the market component we have announced we need one investor in every block farm who will act as an aggregator, and he will do a value chain. The government will provide that land. We have different block farms where the minimum size of land the investor will be getting in every block farm is 1,000 acres, so that he or she can provide extension services, technology, and become an aggregator of all youth and women as an outgrower in that block farm. So these are whatever we are doing, it is within the Tanzanian Development Vision of 2025 and the Agricultural Sector Development Program, which ends by 2028. So what are the major challenges we are facing? Low productivity. This is the biggest problem. And on the low productivity, one is the uptake of the improved varieties of seeds. But also the average utilization of fertilizer in our country is 19 kg per hectare. We are still very low. Our target is to reach at least 50 kg per hectare. That's a target. And this is where you can see, and the miracle, we started the subsidy the President launched the subsidy scheme on 8th of August. And the program was rolled out on 15th of August. Up to now, 229,000 metric tons have been distributed to the farmers, already utilized, and this is the fourth month since we started. I think let me take this opportunity because I've seen some players around here. I think the OCP, IARA, 1 Acre Fund, and I would love the A1 Acre Fund to stand so that the entire group can see them. The model of the 1 Acre Fund is the best model I've ever seen in our country. Their distribution network is through containers, and they put containers in the rural areas where the farmers are to reduce the distance of the farmers to travel. And we thank for the trust of the private sector, and we thank you can see I'm working with the two guys, people with money. Yeah, people with money. I've become their bodyguard so that they return safe home. So we have already started paying the service providers. We paid up to now total of 50 billion shilling. But also we thank the African Development Bank. Madam President, I got a good news, the actual demand. You can see the gap. But what the government can provide is, even on dairy, you can see the gap between the demand and the actuals. There is a huge gap. The key problem is the improved breeds. Tanzania is the second largest African country with a huge number of cattle. But the quality is our traditional cattle. So we realize that we need to improve the breeds, and the country has a lot of government-owned ranch, whereby we think this is the best opportunity for the private sector to come in and have an agreement with us as a government for a long-term arrangement and use the available ranches in our country and improve the breeds through artificial insemination, through embryo technology, and that kind of the approach. But also the dairy sector is fast growing. Currently, the country is importing cows from South Africa for private sector and the government has removed a lot of barriers and certification and the likes, and the charges for those who are bringing new varieties for new breeds for the livestock sector. We have a lot of ranches whereby are available for that, and we will be very pleased to get some development partners to work with us on the improvement of thanks for the IFAD. They started this journey for the improved variety breeds on the dairy sector on the southern corridor for the smallholder livestock keepers. So we thought we are food sufficient and we feed the other part of the continent, especially region. When the president decided to open up the market from June last year to December, we have exported 400,000 metric tons of maize. And mainly this goes to Kenya, up to South Sudan. But the second crop is rice. You can see how the trend is. But we also sell some beans to our neighboring countries like Rwanda, Congo, and other areas in the region. For the cereals, our bigger market is South Sudan, Kenya, and Congo. But we decided to trade, and the country is a member of what we call regional food balance sheet now, with some few African countries decided that we remove the barrier between ourselves and some of the Rwanda Export Board. They trade through Rwanda Export Board to sell some of our cereals. They go to Rwanda and they export it. That's a trade. If we get a market to our neighbor, we just sell. So the government policy and the direction given by our president is that we have to make sure agriculture is a business and remove all the barriers to the smallholder farmer so that they can benefit from their efforts. So if you look at the priority sector for investment, the total value investment for the next 5 years, we are looking at a total of $4 billion. This will include both those four main value chains, but supported by the irrigation. Our country is blessed with 29 million hectares of land arable for irrigation. We are only utilizing 2.7%. 2.7%. And thanks to the President, this year she has approved over 37 billion shilling so that we can do a detailed design and feasibility study on all areas which are potential for irrigation. And we want to utilize the availability of rainfall. There is a lot of water just goes on wastage. So we are next year we'll start constructing over 120 dams, small and medium dams, so that they can save both farming and livestock for the dual purpose. So areas of the certified seed, the country our country, we have 38 seed farms owned by government. So we decided that the government will put all the necessary infrastructure, the storage, irrigation, and let the private sector rent it in a long term so that they produce what is commercially viable. If maize has huge demand, no need of the government producing maize seed. Let the private sector produce and sell it to the market. If we want to subsidize, we will subsidize at the production center and reduce. And that's what we did on the sunflower this year. We have distributed 2,500 metric tons of sunflower, subsidized. The private sector has produced, and the government is subsidizing so that the seed can be cheap to some of the areas, so that to allow farmers to have affordability. We started now a first pilot project with a PPP on the seed multiplication with Seedco. We gave them a land for a long-term leasing, and they are putting up irrigation scheme. It's 1,000 acres, and we have committed to them that will be off-taking their seed. And also we have given what is called the Farm for Future. I think also Yara is a board member of that. This year they are cultivating 250 hectares of the hybrid seed with a Seedco, where the government is off-taking and subsidizing into the Southern Highland farmers. So in brief, that is the picture. Our plea to the international community and the private sector. On BBT and building and block farm system, the country has available land for that. So you can come in. We can have an arrangement with a long-term partnership. On the seed multiplication, the government has enough farms whereby we are looking for the private sector to come in. And the government politically and even budgetary and the disbursement, there is no huge problem. It's not about the number. It's about what has been committed and what has been disbursed. And as you can see, the Minister of Agriculture become a friend with the Minister of Finance. So you should know that things are not that bad. So we got some partners on BBT. Some organizations have come in working with us. Yara have shown interest. OCP has shown interest to come in working with us on the BBT. But also our target is to make sure that when there is a shock of insecurity on the fertilizer and the input, the country is safe. We have some private sector already now who started producing fertilizers in the country through they are all doing blendings. We have Yara, we have a Burundi company called Intracom. They are using the manure and phosphate and they are producing organochemical fertilizer, and they have already started producing, and we have already started consuming what they have produced. And finally, our focus, all agricultural activity come 2030. 50% of agricultural activity in the country should be driven by irrigation. That's the focus of the government, and we think that is an ambitious but it's attainable. For just a simple measure of subsidizing, the cultivated land of Tanzania for 2022-2023 has grown from 12 million hectares to 15 million hectares. This is a very big change. You go to a region, you see it's a double. And even my hometown, we don't use fertilizer, but this year they started using fertilizer for the first time. So I think the technology is the way to go. And Madam President, thank you for your time.